It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has presided over at the People's Palace here in Algiers the award ceremony for the first achievers at the high school leaving exam and the middle school leaving exam for the 2023 sessions. The Sahrawi Lawyers Union has denounced the crime that Sahrawi human rights defender Rashid Saghir was subjected to by Moroccan occupiers at his residence in the occupied city of Dakhla. And the member countries of the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS meeting today in Abuja, Nigeria, have agreed on immediate financial sanctions on Niger. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has presided over at the People's Palace here in Algiers the award ceremony for the first achievers at the high school leaving exam and the middle school leaving exam for the 2023 sessions by giving them medals, gifts, and financial rewards. The award ceremony took place in presence of senior state officials and members of the government, as well as the families of the awarded winners. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has had a telephone conversation with the President of Benin, Patrice Talon, on the eve of the extraordinary meeting of the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS on the situation on Niger. A press release from the Presidency of the Republic said that the two presidents expressed their strong attachment to the return to constitutional order in Niger and the reinstatement of President Mohamed Bazoum in his functions as a legitimately elected head of state. The proceedings of the second Russia-Africa Summit and its Economic and Humanitarian Forum, which ended Friday evening in the city of St. Petersburg, culminated in the adoption of the 2023-2026 Action Plan, mainly aimed at strengthening mutually beneficial cooperation in several areas. The action plan document resulting from this summit, in which Prime Minister Mr. Ayman bin Abdelrahman took part as representative of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, aims to establish mutually beneficial cooperation between Russia and African states, defining the priorities and necessary measures in order to exploit the potentialities of the partnership in areas of common interest, taking into account the 2026 or 2036 or 63 agenda of the African Union, which is a guiding framework for the unification of Africa and the mobilization of its efforts and its wealth with a view to achieving comprehensive and sustainable development. In this respect, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, affirmed during the Russia-Africa Summit that Algeria looks forward to a strong and mutually beneficial African-Russian partnership capable of allowing the emergence of a just world order, highlighting the important efforts that Algeria has made in supporting development in Africa, notably by limiting indebtedness and promoting infrastructure in several countries of the continent. In a speech read on his behalf by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdelrahman during a meeting which brought together heads of state and government, chaired by the Russian President Vladimir Putin, President Tebboune indicated that Algeria aspired to a stronger, mutually beneficial African-Russian partnership likely to fulfill the aspirations and ambitions of our peoples for greater progress and development and the emergence of a just world order based on the respect for the principles of international law and multilateralism. President Tebboune highlighted on the occasion the importance of reforming the UN Security Council to end the marginalization of Africa in international decision-making, support Africa in its efforts to mitigate the impact of indebtedness, and benefit from equitable and sustainable funding for development programs. The services of the Judicial Police of the Security Services of the province of Algiers have discovered and confiscated 35.9 kilograms of cocaine concealed in a foreign ship which docked at the port of Algiers. A statement of the General Directorate of National Security, DGSN, indicated that the operation was carried out on Friday following intelligence from the National Security Services and after thorough investigations inside the ship in collaboration with the Coast Guard Services. An investigation has been opened to clarify the case. The Sahrawi Lawyers Union has denounced the crime the Sahrawi human rights defender Rashid Saghir was subjected to by Moroccan occupiers at his residence in the occupied city of Dakhla. The union condemned in a statement the barbaric attack and physical aggression against Sahrawi defender Rashid Saghir, considering the crime a premeditated one. The statement added that the crime constitutes a flagrant violation of the principles of international humanitarian law and international charters, in particular Article 05 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 and Article 07 of the International Charter on Civil and Political Rights of 1966, as well as the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment of 1984. The Union held the Moroccan occupation authorities fully responsible for these crimes, which require investigation and legal accountability. The statement reaffirmed the need to activate the Fourth Geneva Convention for the Protection of Civilians of 1949, especially Article 3 and 4 of the Convention, and to ensure basic protection for the Sahrawis living under Moroccan occupation in line with international humanitarian law. And the member countries of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, meeting today in Abuja, Nigeria, have agreed on immediate financial sanctions on Niger. They gave 15 days to those behind the recent coup to restore constitutional order and did not exclude a recourse to force. In resolutions read by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who currently ensures the presidency of the organization, the ECOWAS called for the immediate release of Niger President Mohamed Bazoum, who was detained by his guard members, and for a rapid restoration of the constitutional order. This came as the UN Security Council strongly condemned, as it put it, the efforts to unconstitutionally change the legitimate government of Niger. In a statement, the Council's members states the Council's member states expressed concern at the negative impact of the recent developments on the region and which undermine the efforts aimed at consolidating the institutions of governance and peace in the country. They further called for the release of Niger President Mohamed Bazoum and expressed their support to the efforts deployed by the ECOWAS, the African Union, and the United Nations. In this respect, the UN Security Council reiterated its opposition to any attempt to seize power by unconstitutional means, while urging those concerned to abstain from any recourse to violence, to relinquish power, and to return to their barracks. Earlier, the African Union called for the immediate release of Niger President Mohamed Bazoum, detained by his guard members, and urged for a restoration of the constitutional order in the country within 15 days. The African Union Peace and Security Council said it was deeply preoccupied and concerned by the worrying resurgence of coups in the continent and firmly condemned the events which recently took place in Niamey against a democratically elected president. In this connection, it expressed its readiness to take all the necessary measures, including sanctions, against those responsible for the coup. The EU said it would not acknowledge the new authorities and denounced its suspension of all security cooperation actions in Niger. In the Central African Republic, the people today went to the polls as part of elections on a new draft constitution allowing President Faustin Archange Touadéra to run for the third term. The National Authority of Elections said the provisional results would be released in a week's time, pending their proclamation by the Constitutional Court on August 27th. President Touadéra, who was first elected in 2016 and re-elected in 2020, said the draft constitution was aimed at promoting socio-economic development and bringing solutions to past crises and getting the country out of dependency and poverty. The draft constitution that extends the duration of the presidential mandate to 7 years and suppresses its limitation also proposes a reform of the Constitutional Court, whereby the institution will be turned into a constitutional council. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry has condemned the attacks carried out by Jewish settlers against Palestinians and their properties in the West Bank. It stressed that groups of armed settlers were acting with the support and protection of the Israeli army and government. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry called on the international community to enlist these groups as terrorists and to put pressure on the Israeli government to secure their dismantling and to dry up all their financing resources. This came as scores of Jewish settlers today assaulted the Al-Aqsa Esplanade amid a reinforced security imposed on occupied Jerusalem. The incursions made by the Jewish settlers into the religious site to allegedly carry out rituals are rejected as a provocation by the Palestinians. According to the PLO, over 1,100 attacks have been carried out by the Jewish settlers over the past 6 months. Russia has announced having repelled two separate drone attacks carried out by Ukraine and targeting Moscow and the Crimea region in Ukraine's eastern part. The Russian Defense Ministry assured that several Ukrainian drones were destroyed by the anti-air defense batteries in Crimea and denounced, as it put it, an attempt of terrorist attacks. The news agency TASS quoted the aviation services as saying that the attack caused the international airport of Vnukovo, southwest of Moscow, to be momentarily closed to traffic. In Pakistan, at least 16 people have been killed and scores of others wounded in a bomb explosion targeting a political rally in the northwestern part of the country. The blast was aiming a religious party which was organizing a meeting in the town of Har, bordering Afghanistan, ahead of elections planned for later this year. An all-day or World Day Against Trafficking in Persons is celebrated on July 30th every year to sensitize people about the serious character of this phenomenon and its disastrous consequences on humanity. The campaign for World Day Against Trafficking in Persons 2023 aims to raise awareness of disturbing developments and trends identified by UNODC and calls on governments, law enforcement, public services, and civil society to assess and enhance their efforts to strengthen prevention, identify and support victims, and end impunity. The theme of this year's World Day is Reach Every Victim of Trafficking, Leave No One Behind, and it constitutes a call to action in response to disturbing developments and trends of increasing effectiveness and impunity. Global crises, conflicts, and the climate emergency are escalating trafficking risks. Displacement and socioeconomic inequalities are impacting millions of people worldwide, leaving them vulnerable to exploitation by traffickers. Those who lack legal status, live in poverty, have limited access to education, healthcare, or decent work, face discrimination, violence, or abuse, or come from marginalized communities, which are often the primary targets of traffickers. And finally, Algeria has recorded some of the highest temperatures in Africa and the world during the summer, with temperatures reaching dangerous highs in several cities. According to the weather monitoring website Eldorado Weather, 7 Algerian cities are among the hottest in the world, namely Hassim Saoud, Touggourt, Ouargla, Adrar, El Wed, Bni Abbas, Roudnos, and Biskra. Global climate change continues to cause more extreme weather events, with weather experts stating that summer 2023 will be the hottest summer that the Earth has ever recorded. With this, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for a weekly program, starting with my colleague Jamal Silmani, a program on tourism in Algeria. It will be followed by another program by my colleague Aziza Gassi on Kautar Adimi. And with this, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. We'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
Welcome to your weekly program, Destination Algeria. I'm Jamal Semeni. There are a number of great destinations in Algeria just waiting to be discovered. A curious mixture of cultures and influences, Algeria has something interesting to see in just about every city. The country is also the first largest on the African continent, so you can be sure that there are plenty of towns and cities to visit. Let's visit Algeria's fascinating destinations, you and I, together. Considered as a branch of anthropology, archaeology is broadly defined as a study of humanity and human societies. Archaeologists put in a lot of time and effort uncovering relics of the past that either prove and extend what is already known about the development of societies in various countries, or in revealing aspects of human history that have previously not been known. Algeria is a treasure trove of evidence indicating human occupation of this North African region, going back to the Paleolithic and Neolithic eras. Archaeological discoveries of note include a significant number of megalithic monuments in the Great Atlas region and Meshrasfa Peninsula of Algeria, not too far from Jelfa and Tiaret. Megaliths are large stone structures believed to have been built in the Neolithic era. These monumental structures were put together without using any type of mortar, and it is generally unclear as to what purpose they served. Stonehenge in the United Kingdom is readily recognized as being the most famous example of megaliths. The shoal mounds of the Capsian culture discovered in the Maghreb region, which includes Algeria, date back to the Mesolithic era. The manner in which the Capsians buried their dead suggests that they had a belief in the afterlife. Decorative items, ostrich eggshell beads, and seashell beads were used to make necklaces and other decorative items. Although no consensus has been reached as to their origins, linguistic historians believe that Capsians feature in the ancestry of Berber-speaking North Africans. At the time, the Capsian people roamed the area, likely between 8000 BC and 4000 BC. It was believed to have been a savanna region rich in wildlife. This is supported by cave paintings found in a number of places, including Tassili, Niger, located in the north of Tamanrasset. Moreover, flints from the Paleolithic era have been discovered in a number of places, including Kolea in Algeria's Tipaza province and the Tlemcen province. Of special note to those interested in archaeology and history are the mausoleums of Medrassen near Betna and Jidars south of Tiaret. The former established as the tomb of Berber Numidian king Imedrassen, who ruled between 300 and 200 BC, with the latter consisting of a group of 13 mausoleums likely constructed between the 300 to 600 of our Common Era. There are also numerous reminders of Roman rule to be found in Algeria, with fascinating ruins, monuments, and archaeological sites to explore. Certainly, Algeria has a lot to offer to those willing to scratch beneath the surface, and visitors will appreciate the work that archaeologists have done in investigating the distant past of this intriguing North African country. In the second part of our weekly broadcast Destination Algeria, we invite you to discover the ancient Berber kingdom of Numidia, existed between 202 BC and 46 BC in what is now Algeria and part of modern-day Tunisia, North Africa. Mohammed Barazwan will tell you more in this report.
With a sparkling Mediterranean Sea to its north and the unforgiving Sahara Desert to the south, Numidia had the Roman-ruled province of Mauritania on its western border and the province of Africa, which was also under Roman rule to the east. Although the ancient kingdom of Numidia is no longer in existence, evidence of its history can be found in the area. The people of Numidia, referred to as Numidians, were made up of two tribal groups, with the Masili located in the west and the Masili in the east. During the Second Punic War, also known as the War against Hannibal, 2018 BC, 201 BC, the Numidians were split by tribe in their allegiance with the opposing groups. Under the King Galla, the Masili formed an alliance with Carthage, with the Masili supporting their king Syphax in an alliance with Rome. When Galla was replaced by Massinissa as king of the Masili, he changed his allegiance with Rome, with Syphax of the Masili falling in with the Carthaginians. The Romans proved to be victorious and awarded the conquered territory of Numidia to their ally Massinissa of the Masili. The territory remained in the family when, after the death of Massinissa, his son Micipsa took control. Upon his death in 118 BC, Micipsa's two sons, Himpsal I and Ardebal, along with the legitimate grandson of Massinissa, Jugurtha, began a battle for control. Jugurtha had Himpsal assassinated, leading to open war between Jugurtha and Ardebal, with the latter looking to Rome for assistance when beaten in battle. Roman officials attempted to settle the dispute by dividing the territory in two, assigning the western section to Jugurtha and the remainder of Numidia to Ardebal. Peace was temporary, however, and the conflict between the two adversaries soon resumed, this time with the Romans being dragged into it. Following a protracted battle, Jugurtha was eventually taken to Rome as a captive in chains. Following his death, the region changed hands numerous times until eventually being incorporated into Roman territory during the rule of the legendary Julius Caesar. The capital city at the time was Cirta, now modern-day Constantine, renamed after Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, who reunited the split province on Numidia. In addition to Constantine, formerly Cirta, cities in modern Algeria that date back to the time of Numidia include the port of Skikda, formerly Rusicada, Annaba, formerly Hippo Regius, and Tebessa, formerly Tebest. The territory is studded with evidence of Roman influence in the former remains of buildings and settlements, as well as superbly constructed roads that gave the Romans the advantage in many a battle for power in the past.
With this, we come to the end of our weekly program, Destination Algeria. More about Algeria, its history, culture, people, music, and fascinating lands will be next week. Same day, same frequencies.